remarkable moment in Arab Middle East history because, save probably World War II and the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, this is probably one of the most critical moments because it marks the end of the longest standing military based, foreign backed, family anchored autocratic regime. It really marks the end of an era in the Arab world. And what we saw in the past 12 days was unexpected and both expected. Because if you think about 2011 and the Arab Spring, what you saw happen in Egypt and in Tunisia and in much of North Africa and Levant was a people uprising. And save where they are today, what we saw in Syria, the response of March 2011, when a young child, school child, spray painted on the wall of a school in Dara in Syria, "Doctor, you are next." Doctor meaning Bashar Al Assad, because he said, "I, doctor." We expected that it was going to fall similar to the way Egypt and Tunisia did. But what we saw was a heavy-handed response that led to the death of 500,000 Syrians, the displacement of 14 million, and a civil war that erupted also critically in 2016 that really laid the groundwork for what we saw today. Because the 2016 moment of the rise of the leader of the resistance that established the 12 days was long in coming. So both surprising and unexpected.
Yeah, many people are saying, experts are saying, that the fact that the Assad regime fell so quickly was also a reflection of not just the weakness of the Assad regime, but also the lack of appetite from Syria's traditional allies to help bolster him. And we talk about Iran being on the back foot politically, its proxies around the region as well having suffered blows the last few months, Russia embroiled in a war with Ukraine. If that is the case, what does that do to the broader dynamics, the geopolitical dynamics of the region? The fact that it's not just the Assad regime that is gone, but many of its supporters as well are going to be less present there.
Absolutely. So when you have a weakened Russia in the region, so the reason why this is not 2016 and the Assad regime was able to fall was because Iran and Russia are not what they used to be. With Russia in this quagmire in Ukraine and Iran increasingly weakened and not wanting to establish a deeper footprint in the region for several strategic reasons, it led to the rise of, for example, Turkey in the region, especially in this moment in Syria, but also the backing was not there for the Syrian military. And so what you saw was this critical moment a few days ago where you start to see uniforms being abandoned by the Syrian military. And so it created a kind of threshold effect where it was, wait, the backing is not coming. It is not here. This is a brave new world. It's a new day. And so the Syrian military was quickly, therefore, removed. But it begs the question of what's really going to happen in the region. What is the road ahead going to fall? Syria is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, sectarian country. It's learned the lessons of the de-Baathification of Iraq, but it's also learned the lessons of Lebanon's civil war. And so when we see, for example, today that Israel has moved into Syria's buffer zone. The U.S. has announced airstrikes, and ISIL has already struck parts of Syria. Russia and Iran are weakened. We're going to see Syria be the next space for contestation over regional security, but Turkey is going to increasingly try to establish a stronger foothold.
Yeah, and let me just bring you back to something you were saying about Lebanon. Of course, there is this somewhat shaky ceasefire right now between Lebanon and Israel. How do you think the dynamics over the weekend, what's happened in Syria, could have ramifications on what happens within Lebanon, not just in the context of the ceasefire, but also in terms of state building?
You know, I'm here in Doha, where the foreign ministers of Iran, Turkey, and Russia are. We're here in the same forum, and it was very interesting to see them the day before the fall of Assad and the day of the fall of Assad, because the language of the future became very, very bleak and dark, and also kind of interesting about how this is going to reflect on places like Lebanon and the immediacy. Is there going to be an ability for places like Iran to hold on to the of stability, of what's happening in Lebanon. That's increasingly not true. We saw Hezbollah, for example, take a critical step back. And so I think the ramifications of what happened in Syria yesterday are going to have a lot of reverberation for both Lebanon, Gaza, and the future
Yeah.
of Turkey in the region, but furthermore, the kind of backtracking of Iran into a different space.